The human body's amazing, and there are a lot of incredible facts about it. Did you know, for example, that our hair can hold 20 tons of weight? Or that we can actually see the world upside down? The only more interesting things are the teeth that do not grow in the mouth and the brain that holds back the violent force in us. This is Infinity, and in this episode I'll tell you 11 cool facts about the human body that are hard to believe the first time. Let's go! We all know that teeth grow in the mouth. We also know that we get our teeth for free twice in our lifetime, and we know the number of teeth. But did you know that teeth can grow not only in the mouth, but also in the most unexpected places on the body? For example, in the ovary, and according to some reports, even on the legs. The reason is teratoma, a tumor that contains teeth, hair, and sometimes fully formed organs and body parts. It's frightened surgeons of the past and shocks even modern doctors, which is not surprising. Our eyes are an incredibly complex organ, and I'm not even talking about color perception or anything like that. What's more amazing is that our eyes see the world upside down. The famous philosopher and mathematician René Descartes proved this. He projected an image on a paper screen from a cutout bullseye, and it was upside down according to all the laws of physics. Light refracts as it passes through the cornea and the lens, so the projection of the visible object is reversed. But then why don't we see the world upside down? The brain is to be thanked for that. It reverses the image, making it correspond to reality. Poison. I think you've all heard of such a poison as cyanide. Cyanide comes in many forms, but all inorganic cyanides are extremely poisonous. Just 1/10 of a gram is enough to kill a person. The more surprising fact is that humans are constantly producing and absorbing cyanide themselves. We absorb it in small doses with certain foods, apples and spinach for example. Moreover, cyanide is produced by breathing. At any given moment, a healthy person contains up to 50 micrograms of this substance per 100 grams of tissue. However, cyanide does not accumulate in cells and is quickly eliminated from the body, so it's impossible to die from such cyanide. Our body regulates not only the amount of cyanide inside the body, but also the strength of our muscles. Again, we have our brains to thank for this. According to scientists, the brain constantly regulates muscle strength, and in normal situations it doesn't get that strength to the maximum. After all, for example, if the leg muscles strained at full strength, they'd break the hip. At the same time, in a state of extreme stress and at maximum adrenaline, human muscles work wonders. Person can lift a car or jump several meters in height. By the way, as for weights, according to scientists' calculations, if it were possible to use the power of all muscles at once, a human could lift a weight of 25 tons. Evolution is much faster than we think, and body temperature demonstrates this well. If you were asked what temperature is considered normal, you'd answer without hesitation 36.6 degrees Celsius. But if you asked the same question to a man from the 19th century, he would answer 37 degrees Celsius. This was proved by scientist Karl Wunderlich, who in 1851 examined 25,000 people and found that 37 degrees Celsius is the standard human body temperature. Over nearly 200 years later, there's been a drop of 4/10. This may seem like nothing in a margin of error, but scientists have no doubt differences do exist. And the reason for this is the change in the environment in which we live, including the temperature of our homes, our contact with microorganisms, and the food we eat. Saliva. It may seem to some that a person does not produce much saliva in a day, but that's far from the case. You'd be surprised, but our salivary glands produce anywhere from 1 liter to 2.5 liters of saliva per day. That's 5 to 12 glasses. The reason we still don't choke on our saliva is because we reflexively and constantly swallow it. This mechanism slows down at night, so the body reduces the amount of saliva it produces in order to avoid choking. For this reason, when a person wakes up in the morning, they usually feel dry in the mouth and thirsty. I think it's no secret that sweat is necessary for thermoregulation because it cools the body. But did you know that sweat doesn't actually smell? That statement seems like complete nonsense because who hasn't experienced the smell of bad-smelling sweat? Besides, since sweat doesn't smell, why do we need all these deodorants and antiperspirants? Yes, sweat does not smell. because it consists mostly of water, but it does contain acids secreted by the apocrine glands. The bacteria living on the skin decompose these acids, and their products give off an unpleasant odor. Tickling. If you say you're not ticklish, you're probably lying. When someone else tickles us, we involuntarily twitch, laugh, and lash out. It's normal. It's just that some people perceive tickling more explicitly, while others perceive it less so. Scientists believe that tickling appeared in the process of evolution as a means of protection against insects, spiders, and other unpleasant creatures that crawl on people and can harm them. What's interesting, you'll not tickle yourself. The body has provided everything, so you will not give a reaction because it will understand that it's doing it to itself. Almost everyone is afraid of being tickled. The sight of blood also scares quite a few people, and it's okay if it's someone else's blood, but many people are afraid of their own blood and may faint at the sight of a fresh cut or during the blood-drawing procedure. Why? Scientists call it an oversensitive vasovagal reaction. It's associated with overstimulation of the vagus nerve, which triggers relaxation processes in the body. It's believed that fainting at the sight of blood is an evolutionary defensive reaction that slows the heart rate and lowers blood pressure. Presumably, it's a survival mechanism like that of possums, which pretend to be dead when attacked by predators. By the way, the fear of blood itself is a phobia, and it's called hemophobia. Many experts believe that there are more hemophobes among women than among men. Apparently, men are still more courageous, but that's just an assumption, not a fact. What about the facts? Stay tuned to find out the incredible facts about the male body, and there are many more interesting things to come. Lactation. Women breastfeed. You can't argue with that statement. But it turns out that men can breastfeed too. Men, like women, have mammary glands that can produce breast milk. This is because men produce the hormone prolactin, which is responsible for the production of milk. The amount of prolactin in men increases during starvation, taking certain medications, or dysfunction of the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus. In general, this is an abnormality, but some native men in South America don't worry about this. They breastfeed their children without the help of a woman. Have you ever wondered why we need the Adam's apple? And why do men have bigger Adam's apples than women? Actually, the Adam's apple, or laryngeal prominence, is just a protrusion on the neck formed by plates of thyroid cartilage, which main function is to protect the vocal cords. The thyroid cartilage is also responsible for the pitch of the voice. During adolescence, it changes its angle to the annular cartilage, thereby forming the laryngeal prominence and breaking the voice. In men, this angle is smaller than in women, so they have a larger protrusion and a lower voice. I appeal to guys. If you live with a girl and you have domestic problems or various difficulties in general, you probably react to them differently, don't you? Sure, you can figure out the problem together, but if you look at guys and girls separately, men usually try to get to the bottom of the problem, while girls usually dig into the emotional part. There's a reason for that. The fact is that men's amygdala of the right hemisphere turns on at this moment, while women's left hemisphere works, hence the different approach to solving problems. Bones. Scientists have proven that the more a man trains or exercises, the stronger and more massive his skeletal system becomes. Strengthening the bone is the body's response to increased exercise or activity. This is used by professional fighters who harden their arms and legs so that in the future they're not afraid to block or to throw a low kick to the shin. Girls, on the other hand, are not recommended to get involved in such exercises. Due to hormonal characteristics, women's bones tend to become more fragile with age than when they were in their youth, so they may not be able to withstand the fighting train. Heart. Each person's heart is the size of their fist, so the heart of the average man is definitely larger than that of the average woman. By the way, the heart is called an engine for a reason. It's the real engine which generates energy. In one day, the heart produces enough energy to drive 32 kilometers in a car. And if you take all the energy that the heart muscle has pumped up in a lifetime, it's enough to fly to the moon and come back. Every girl has one breast larger than the other. The difference can be subtle or pronounced. Absolutely every girl has this peculiarity. By the way, another interesting fact concerning the female breast is that it can increase without surgery. There are a lot of nerve endings in it, stimulation of which allows the breast to grow by 25% of the original size. You have no idea how strong our hair is. Hair strength depends on race. While Caucasoid hair is considered the weakest, Mongoloid hair is the strongest. But in fact, the hair of representatives of all races can be called extremely strong. A 0.05 centimeter thick hair is able to withstand a weight of 100 to 200 grams, and this is one weighty apple. And if in theory the hair is tied into a very tight tuft, then you can hang a weight of 12 to 20 tons on it, and the hair will not break. It's not amazing that some people literally drag cars with their hair, but it's still amazing how strong the hair is. Each person's hair has an individual structure, but in general terms it has a similar structure. But we all have exceptional fingerprints. You probably know that. But did you know that some people have no fingerprints at all? Such people have a characteristic called adermatoglyphia, and it's incredibly rare. There are literally only a few people in the world with this amazing trait. They don't have a piece of biometric information, can't leave fingerprints at crime scenes, and have reduced palm sweating. On the one hand, the feature is cool, but the people having adermatoglyphia are not very happy. Often they can't get important documents, which are issued only if there are fingerprints. That's all, guys. Which fact surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.